soon. Looks like we are live. Welcome to Gamcast for Monday evening. We're here to talk about the appellate argument in Trump's appeal of his New York civil fraud verdict, folks. It did not go well for the state of New York. You can see there's the Appellate Division. Welcome to Gamcast, the Atlanta and Florida lawyer that breaks down the news of the day through the law of the lens of history, the law, and the Constitution. Folks, it does not look good for this. This was the opening question out of the box for the state of New York from one of the judges there. Take a listen.
Can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction? All
right, private business transaction. Let's jump right here and talk about the law that he's talking about. I can't do it on Twitter, but I will do it if you're listening later on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, etc. This is an article that I wrote. I will link to it in the description. Here's the law that they're talking about, okay? Whenever a person shall engage in repeated fraudulent or illegal acts or otherwise demonstrate persistent fraud or illegality in the carrying on, conducting, transaction of business, the Attorney General can prosecute it, okay? Then later it goes down and it says, I kid you not, folks, this is unbelievable that they literally wrote a law like this. It is crazy, but they did. The word fraud or fraudulent, as used herein, shall include any device, scheme, or artifice to defraud. You're using the word to define it. It's garbage. Deception, misrepresentation, concealment, suppression, false intent, praise, promise, unconscionable contractual provisions. Folks, that is void for vagueness. It is way too overly broad. Now, the way this usually happens, folks, is when the judge reads that, he or she says, I'm not going to apply it to just anything you say, right? But that's what Letitia James said. Oh, no, it says right there, it's anything I say. Well, no, if it were that way, it's void for vagueness and nobody has an advance notice of what the crime is. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so this is what he's asking. Has it ever been applied in a situation like this where it's so overly broad? Private transaction, but he goes on. Take a listen.
That was between equally sophisticated partners where the supposed victim had the ability and legal obligation to discover the allegedly misrepresented matters by conducting its own due diligence, where the supposed wrongdoer advised the supposed victim through written disclaimers to conduct its own due diligence and to draw its own conclusions, where the alleged misrepresentation almost entirely concerned inherently subjective valuations of properties and businesses.
Yes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transactional losses from it. Because I've gone through the cases which you've cited, and all of them always involved the consumer protection aspect.
Right. So he's saying, hey, I've looked at every other case we've ever done like this, and this statute, which is very broad, was narrowly tailored to do this. One other thing, as a trained lawyer for over 30 years of studying law, is you got to understand about fraud. Fraud requires reasonable reliance. Absolutely must have it. In an arm's length transaction, such as between you and a bank, you and an insurance company, somebody on this other side of you, you go buy a car. It's an arm's length transaction. You cannot, by law, reasonably rely on documents I give you. Even if I told you they're good, you can't by law. And so this is what he's getting at. It's the heart of it. This is one other thing I want to clear it up when we wrap this up. This is the Appellate Division. So the way it works in New York is you have the so-called Supreme Court, which is literally the trial court. You have the Appellate Division, that's these guys. And then you have the so-called Court of Appeals, which is essentially the Supreme Court of New York. So this is just an intermediate court. I fully expect, based on watching this, I'll put a link in there. You can want to watch the whole thing, you can. Fully expect them to reverse. Probably not before the election. I mean, it is New York. They're going to be political. They're probably not big Trump fans. But anyway, if you enjoyed this comment, please take a second, stop. Not just for me, all good content creators you like. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you do, I'll see you on the next one.